Hi everyone, I hope you are well. In this video I will focus on the American CPM3V steel, reputed to be one of the strongest, thanks to its composition, and I will introduce you to the superb Leuku 202 Benchmade knife. CPM3V is a steel that was developed for tools subject to high stresses. It has therefore been designed to offer maximum resistance to breaking and chipping, and it also offers good resistance to wear, which means good retention of the edge. It is therefore one of the most resistant steels on the cutlery market. This alloy comes from powder technology. As a reminder, this process makes it possible to obtain steels with a very homogeneous structure, with an excellent grain fineness. For the same formula, a steel formed by powder technology is significantly better from all points of view than a steel obtained conventionally. According to the manufacturer of this steel, the American company Crucible Industries, CPM3V offers superior impact resistance to A2, D2, crew wear or CPM4 steels. The hardness of CPM3V is generally between 58 and 60 HRC. Its composition is simple. Official data from the manufacturers reveal that in addition to iron, the alloy contains 0.8% carbon, 2.75% vanadium, 1.3% molybdenum and 7.5% chromium. This chromium content is insufficient to make the CPM3V stainless, but it is however not too sensitive to rust if care is taken to dry the blade. However, the spectral analysis present on the knife site also reveals the presence of 0.4% tungsten. The particularity of the CPM3V lies in its high content of vanadium, an element which increases the resistance and the preservation of the cutting edge. Molybdenum also increases resistance to chipping and limits corrosion. Its impact resistance, and overall its resilience, is also explained by a carbon content that is not too high, which allows the steel to remain fairly elastic. Remember that if the carbon content exceeds 2%, the alloy becomes brittle. The wear resistance and toughness properties of CPM3V make it an excellent alternative to steels specifically designed for impact resistance such as S7 or A9, which do not retain their sharpness well. Steels like A2, crew wear or CPM4 are more susceptible to breakage and chipping. In fact, CPM3V offers the greatest impact resistance among cutlery steels while resisting wear and thus retaining its sharpness well and being easy to sharpen. This CPM3V steel forms the blades of outdoor knives such as models from Colt Steel, Bark River, Bradford, Hinderer, but also the new Leon Steel M5. It is therefore a robust steel that will be able to endure the sessions of stirring and cutting on the fly. The model I have in my hands is the Leuku 202 from the famous American brand Benchmade. As its name suggests, it is a knife that takes up the lines of the traditional Scandinavian Leuku knives but with a more modern look, particularly with its centerpin handle. It is a light knife because it weighs only 150 grams with a blade that is still 13.2 centimeters long. This lightness is linked to the fact that the blade is only 3.5 millimeters thick and that the centerpin is a low-density polymer. This Leuku is a very useful knife when setting up camp. The construction is not flat sole but the tang is through. The knife is therefore robust, but if you are batoning, even if centerpin is resistant material, it is better to dispense with tapping on the handle at the risk of damaging it. This textured handle is also particularly ergonomic with excellent grip even in wet conditions. It has a style of reptile scales. It is also possible to equip the Leuku with a strap, a security that some appreciate to prevent the knife from slipping away. The grind is not really Scandinavian but rather of the saber type. There is also a cutting edge which forms the edge of the knife. Scandinavian bevels do not have this final bevel. This is one of the other particularities of this Leuku. It has the appearance of the traditional Scandinavian knife but has some differences. I specify that if the CPM3V is given for a hardness of 58 to 60 HRC by Crucible Industries, Benchmade announces an index of 60 to 62 HRC for the blade of this knife. However, this hardness would mean that the blade is less flexible than the CPM3V should be. This would probably be due to the heat treatment carried out by Benchmade. However, this extra hardness does not seem to affect the knife's ability to resist. It is always difficult to properly assess the properties of a steel which result from the combination of several factors. Its composition, the process of obtaining steel, here the process of powders, as well as its heat treatment which conditions its hardness or even the hardness of certain parts of the blade. For example, some manufacturers ensure that the outer part of the steel is softer and that the inside is on the contrary harder to promote the preservation of the edge. So the HRC indices are indications to be taken with caution because the manufacturers also have their little manufacturing secrets, especially with regard to hardening. Do not forget also that the shape and thickness of the blade or even the very construction of the knife play a role in its solidity. Finally, what we can remember is that at least in theory the blade of this knife is very resistant and capable of withstanding intensive use normally without risk of chipping or breaking. I must say that I particularly appreciate this knife. It is light, very handy, its handle offers a very good grip. I really like its long and beautiful drop point shaped blade. This knife has style and it is really very effective for carving wood. It slices really well without effort. As the blade is not too thick, you should be able to use this knife for cooking, cutting meat, fruit or vegetables. We can also consider that it is not too expensive compared to other CPM3V steel knives. It is found at around $160 delivered with a good black leather sheath. The leather is thin but the sheath is deep and rigid. This makes it a light and protective sheath that can be attached to a belt. It is a model that I would recommend to anyone who wants to equip themselves with a lightweight fixed blade knife for carrying out excursions in nature. It is really handy and we know that its blade will be able to withstand multiple blows without any problem thanks to its resistant steel, which retains its edge well and sharpens properly. Although it is not stainless, it fears little rust, if we take a minimum of care. So no real problem there. The texture of the handle is also very appreciable. It is the advantage of polymer-type materials which confer flexibility and softness despite their frame designed to offer maximum grip. If you want a shorter and lighter model, there is also the Benchmade Leuku 200 also in CPM3V steel and santalpine handle. It is in a way the little brother of the Leuku. Moreover, one day I will make a video to present a little history of the American brand Benchmade created in 1980 and which produced at the beginning of the Bali song knives called Butterfly Knife, which is at the origin of the logo of the brand. Thank you for watching this video. Do not hesitate to comment, to give your feedback on the CPM3V steel or on the Benchmade Leuku if you use it. It is always very interesting to have your opinions. It allows us to complete the information and to have other points of view. See you soon with other knives.